everybody. It is Billie here. I am basically going to take you through this book and make comments and tell stories and talk about it a little bit. So let's do it. We start off with me and my mama's belly. So clearly I don't have a story for that. Didn't exist yet. I was just a little nub. And then most of it is just me being a little useless baby. And I don't have much to say. I love being a baby. I miss being a baby. I love babies. So because I was, as I said, completely useless baby human, I'm gonna basically leave this mostly to my parents to tell you about my life then. 'Cause I don't really remember. I was a baby.
I was on bed rest for a month before she came a month early, which was an extremely complicated birth, which is a very long story. I had lost a lot of blood.
We were very happy, though, to see her.
Yeah, she was precious.
Phineas was there with us every minute.
And she had that super dark hair, which didn't last, but she came out with that really, really dark hair.
Yeah, very dark hair.
We thought she was going to have that forever, but then she had very blonde hair. Phineas loved her right away.
He did.
He adored her right away. Oh, and there's a famous picture you took on your knees.
Well, I took one of Phineas, and then I took one of her yawning. I would sit with my knees up on a coffee table or something and dandle the baby in front of me, and it was wonderful because they could be supported by my knees. It was long before they could even hold their heads up and take pictures. But this position's always very comfy for everybody and face-to-face. I spent hours like that.
Oh, Billy and the Hats. Patrick was always putting things on the baby's head.
Yeah, well, the dogs first, and then when the babies came, the babies.
With the pirate hat, because Phineas always called her Pirate before she was born. That's why she's Billie Eilish.
Why? Do you know why? Where did pirate come from?
Because he was really obsessed with pirates at that age.
Yeah.
That's when you made the pirate entrance thing, and he really wanted to call her Pirate.
I made him a peg leg that he wore.
And so he put the pirate hat on her. Billie Eilish, Pirate, Barrett O'Connell.
So there's this one picture of me in a pirate hat, and my name was gonna be Pirate, which my uncle shot down, but my mom and dad, I think, like, you know what it was? When my mom was pregnant with me, Phineas, my big brother, who was 4 at the time, called me Pirate, like, before I was born, before they had a name. And so they called me Pirate for like months, and they were kind of planning on naming me Pirate. And soon before I was born, my grandfather died, and his name was William, aka Bill, Billy, and that's where my name came from. So Pirate is my middle name, as well as Eilish. Billie Eilish, Pirate Barrett O'Connell. And there I am in a little pirate hat because I was Billie Pirate. There was a couple years when I was like 9 or 10 that I went around and introduced myself as Pirate. That was quite a phase.
You see slings everywhere. It goes over your shoulder, and baby and parent are so happy in these things.
Yeah, and they were always in them until they were like 4 years old. People would say, how can you carry them in there? I was like, how could you not carry? How can you carry them without? They're so heavy.
Not?
They loved their slings. We had several, and look how cute they are. Look at Billy with her dark hair. She loved her slings.
Yeah, she is sitting up and then crawling around and making a fine mess.
Oh, we have that great video of her dancing in that tutu and that piano. We got that for Christmas right down the street here. Remember, there was that store?
Yeah.
That
it was a
disappeared.
cheapy store. It was like a 99-cent store, but not one. But they had the weirdest junk in there, and I found this electronic piano for very cheap, and it did all kinds of cool things. The kids loved it, and it was exactly their size.
Piano. She played that in a little guitar case.
It had demos. Didn't it have Christmas Carol demos?
Oh, yeah. She played them all the time. Oh, they loved that little
Plastic.
garden. Oh, my gosh.
It was called a farmyard or something.
Yeah, it's called a something garden or something.
Yeah, and it was plastic and goofy, and the kids loved it. Everybody who visited loved it. Everybody loved it.
Yeah, she loved it.
Falling asleep, making another mess.
She made a lot of messes.
enjoying her messes.
Oh, she's so pretty.
Baby me with a deck of cards, which is cute to see now because I play cards when I'm on tour. It's just nonstop card games. Speed, we played hearts, we played we play poker, we play we try to learn new games, but we kind of can't help ourselves but play speed only. It's addictive. I've probably spent 10,000 hours playing speed. I'm probably an expert at it at this point.
Took the duck boat in Boston, and I had a duck bill.
Was that Boston? We took that duck boat in
Well,
Washington, D.C.
also. Yeah, that was probably the reunion, right?
Yeah. And she wanted this little Care Bear costume for Halloween, which was very unlike her to want a store-bought costume. But that year, she had her heart set on being a Care Bear.
Lots of time laughing with the kids. Kids have such a great sense of humor, and they find things funny, and they find them funny over and over again. Yes, and lots of stuff in the mouth.
Oh, you know what she had once in her mouth? A piece of broken glass.
This is Halloween of me dressed as a little Dalmatian.
Aw, little Dalmatian costume.
Dalmatian costume.
Yeah. She wanted to be a Dalmatian, so we got a little white outfit and we took a Sharpie and made the spots. So cute.
She is in a shopping bag inside a laundry basket. The kids both thought that was hilarious when I would put them in shopping bags, carry them around like groceries.
It was hilarious.
Well, it was
actually.
hilarious.
You would carry both of them.
It was.
You'd come in the door, look what I got at the store. And they would laugh their heads off.
Me in my little tutu and my wings, which I loved. I always was wearing some sort of tutu.
Oh, and then she loved the Teletubbies, which I thought was great because I loved the Teletubbies.
We loved the Teletubbies. We used to watch the Teletubbies whether the kids watched it or not.
That's true. Zoey.
Again, I'd always say.
Again.
I was always wearing a crazy dress when I was little, like always. I've always had a very specific style, whether it was good or not. It was there. I remember making a definitive choice to wear underwear over my outfit at one point. I think it was probably 4 or 5. And yeah, I went out. We went to like a fair, and I was wearing my underwear outside of my pants. And I remember Phineas was so embarrassed. So Zoey is my lifelong friend. I tell the story that we met in the park, and I was playing with my friend, and she came up to us, and she was a stranger. I had no idea who she was. I think we were like 2 or 3. And she came up to us and she asked us if she could play with us. And of course, I had to consult. And I was like, whoa. It's not that easy. So me and my friend talked. We stepped aside and we talked. And we were like, okay, could she play with us? Can she not? And we decided she could play with us, yes. And so we were in the sand and we were pretending to be chefs. And so we started cooking in the sand. And, it was all just not real, not even there. And so she asked us what we were making, and I was like, oh, we're making pasta. And she was like, what's pasta? And I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. And I remember being like, what do you mean, what's pasta? And she's like, what's pasta? And I tried to explain it, and she goes, oh, noodles. Oh, my God. And then we had this argument. We're like 3 years old having this argument in the park about whether it's noodles or pasta. And then she called her grandma to ask if it was noodles or pasta and talked to her mom about it, and that's how we became friends. So, yeah, she is still one of my best friends. I love Zoey. She's helped me through so much, and we've been through so much together. I can't even begin to tell you what we've been through together. But yeah, that's my Zoey.
Zoey and Malcolm came over to let their parents have a dinner date, and Zoey had so much fun with Billy. They were just instantly best friends and had so much fun. And then Mara came to pick up Zoey, and Zoey screwed up her face and said, I didn't have any fun at all. That's what you get.
This tape player
she carried
was
around.
so great. It had microphones on it that worked, and you could record your own voice and you sing along with music. Gosh, that was fun.
She carried that everywhere. She had the craziest hair. It was like straw, and it would stick up, which I thought was cute. You know, those parents who like really comb the heck out of their kids' hair. That was not me.
No, not us.
I thought it was cute that way.
Me being a little brat about something on my own birthday. I had a beautiful cake that my mom made me that had a unicorn on it and little roses, and it was purple, and it had pretty silver candles and a pink Pegasus unicorn. And I was sobbing. I was always sobbing on my birthday, though, because I really loved my birthday, and I loved getting presents. I loved everything about it. It was my favorite thing in the world. And I had I still do have very high expectations for my birthdays. And when I was little, if one thing didn't go how I wanted, I'd have a fit. It was ridiculous. I was such an annoying child. I've always wanted kids, let me tell you. But me, the way that I was as a child, the way that I have grown up, is the one thing that makes me not want to have kids. Because I don't want to have kids that are like me.
And the birthday cake.
What was she so upset about, I wonder? Who knows?
I made that cake, of course. I made all their cakes.
Sure.
There was always a lot of crying on birthdays.
Well, birthdays were famous for crying.
Yeah, too much excitement, too much anticipation, and then something sad. A lot of times the crying had to do with cutting the cake. There was something devastating to them about.
Well, and I think both our kids had this sense of, another year passes, unknown lies ahead. It's this, the number gets different. You turn from 4 to 5.
Her birthday, though, is a week before Christmas. So it means so much work to put a party together a week before Christmas, but always one of the best days of the year, because by the time you finally got that party together, so fun to have a bunch of little kids around a week before Christmas. It was very special. Billie talks through everything she watches. She comments. You do that too, actually. I just realized.
Of course I do.
But that's where she gets it, I get. But I get why Phineas was covering her mouth, because she doesn't stop talking while we're watching something.
There's plenty to say.
And this is actually super sweet. This picture where she's on my back, that's my mom behind us on the photo, and me dancing with my dad at our wedding. And of course, Billie never met either of them. So that's a really sweet and sad picture. My dad's name is Bill. So there you go. That's who she's named after.
And there we are. And I'm reading to them both.
Phineas did not sleep in that room at that time. I think he always slept with us.
But it was his room. I think that's the bat book, right? What was that called?
Stella Luna.
Stella Luna, yeah.
And Billie with Smidgen, torturing Smidgen. Billie loved our dogs so much that it was
very old dog at the time.
A form of torture.
By the time she was born, we had an old Jack Russell.
Oh, I love that little outfit with the music notes.
Yeah. And she has a little tiara.
That's so her.
Very important, all that stuff. Princess dresses and tiaras. Oh, she loved that purple dress.
You found these dresses at Costco.
Costco.
These little crate of dresses, princess dresses, and you bought them for Christmas, and she loved them.
We had this easel. We had a couple of easels, but this one was incredible. It had a bar for a roll of paper at the top and a chalkboard on one side and a tray for paints and chalk. Gosh, that got a lot of use.
This was the party dress from her birthday party that she must have twirled in and fell on the heater and burned her arm.
We have a floor heater, something called a gravity furnace, which is the only heat in the whole house, and it gets as hot as an oven, as the stovetop.
And we kept it
fell on it by mistake.
Blocked off when she was little. But this time she was twirling somewhere else, and she just fell and flew over onto the heater.
She was okay, but it was scary. When something got cleaned up, it was so novel, they went into the clean area.
Phineas, my big brother, my best friend. Yeah, this is, I've talked about it in every way I can, and I'm talking about it again. Phineas is my best friend, and I love him to pieces. He is the best brother in the world, and that's all I can really say. He is all throughout this book just my perfect big brother. My mom made the best cakes. She still does. But she used to do it all the time. Anything you wanted, she'd do. It was amazing. I had a puppy party, so we had a bunch of puppies come to the party so that all the kids could play with them, and I wanted it to be dog themed. So she made a cake with a bunch of dogs on it. And of course, my birthday's a week before Christmas, which I've always loved, and so my birthdays were very Christmassy, and plus whatever theme I had. I always had a theme, always.
And there's Billie making a face. She and I used to make faces with each other, and the rule was you would succeed if the other person would laugh. So we would make the craziest faces and try to keep a straight face.
She had an amazing face-making contest with Matt Winston, too.
She was a big face maker. Still is.
She did always have the microphone. She's so pretty. You know, she only had freckles for a little while. Same with Phineas. Both of them had a freckled period. They had the cutest freckles. They didn't really have freckles long-lasting. Maybe it was just a sunscreen thing.
There we are trying to play this terrible piano we had, but it was a piano.
Yeah.
Got it for free, and you get what you pay for.
I liked playing the piano.
Well, we now have a better piano in the same spot, and all is well. Look how dark Pepper's eye patch was.
No, before she got old.
Oh my gosh. And Pepper conked out in the craziest position, and so is she.
Pepper was so tolerant of her. Remember, she used to dress her up in clothes and make her pose for pictures. And
Remember, she built a whole arena in the backyard for her to jump over things. She'd put her balance beam up and chairs and boxes.
She really kind of treated her more like a horse. Billie always wanted a horse. And she kind of made Pepper a horse. And she would make these little stables with her little toy horses and her toy, fences. And then she'd set them up, and then she'd have Pepper be the actual jumping animal in the event.
And she would do it over and over and over. Mm-hmm. Pepper would, either get it or not get it. It didn't matter. She'd do it over and over, and she'd film it, remember?
She's a good dog.
You know when you're a kid and you learn something new and then you never shut up about it? That was kind of how this was when I learned the alphabet and knew it by heart. And I just would write it everywhere. And of course, the Q is upside down, the S is backwards, the M is bonkers. That's just how it is being a kid. But I was so excited. I was like, yes, I know it by heart, and I'm going to write it on the sand. And I was very proud. So I went through a phase of just writing it on everything. And this picture is actually like a classic picture in our family. I think it's like printed, and I think it's framed somewhere in our house. So this picture is very precious to my mom, I know.
Oh, Billie on the beach in that little skirt that she always wore.
This is what we refer to as the homeschooling picture, because there she is writing the alphabet in the sand, pretty much on her own, not entirely self-taught, but she got the alphabet just by absorbing it. We didn't drill the letters. We didn't drill all that stuff.
We just did it for fun.
Exposed her to it, yeah.
Yeah, we'd make letters for fun, and then there she is on the beach just compelled to do it, which it's so sweet. Was that Cape Cod?
Yeah, that was Cape Cod, where my brother rented a house in the summer. And it's doing pretty good, right? It's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
PQRSTUV.
Any talent show ever I was a part of, I would have done a talent show for a school that I had nothing to do with. I really would have. If somebody asked me to do a talent show at their school, I would do it. Absolutely would do it. All I wanted to do was perform in any way I could. So I did.
Oh, and then a talent show. There she goes.
Because her arms crossed.
Yep.
That's how she stood for the whole song. That must have been was that the first one or the second one? I think that was the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, Happiness Warm Gun. That was the second one for sure. It says my first talent show, though. So it's actually the second one. The first one she sang Tomorrow.
Well, this was, what do you want to do at the talent show? Oh, I want to do Happiness is a Warm Gun. Okay, let me work that out on the piano. And, she was very serious about it. That's the song she wanted to do. It wasn't funny. It was
She really
a good
liked
song.
the musical elements of that song. In fact, we would be at someone's house, like your brother's visiting, And she'd say, I want to sing. And we'd say, what do you want to sing? She'd say, I want to sing Happiness is a Warm Gun. But she would insist on hiding under the couch cushions
That's right.
to sing it so no one could see her. But out would come this voice.
And then, how far do you go? And she wanted to go all the way. And I was like, I'm not sure
She did it all.
that's right. But she did it anyway because she was Billie Eilish.
She loved the Beatles.
Drew, I met when we were both 9. We both had crazy side parts, and I remember that was something that bonded our parents together because they thought it was so funny to say we looked like 2 curtains pulled to the side because we stood next to each other for years. The reason I became friends with Drew, we were in choir together, and this was like the 2nd year or 3rd year I was in choir. I think 2nd year. And I didn't know who she was. She was in my choir, but I'd never talked to her or anything. And then we would always go on this retreat every year. And she was in my chaperone group. And we started talking about horses. And I was like obsessed with horses. And she was like, I have a horse. And I was like, ooh, my best friend. And what's funny is that Drew, has nothing to do with horses. Now when I think about Drew, I totally forget that that's why we became friends in the first place, because she's not after that conversation, we never talked about horses ever again. And I think it was a horse that was her parents' horse, and I think it passed away right after that. But that was why we bonded at first, which was very cute. And then we've been best friends ever since. She's another one that she has really stuck by my side for forever since I met her. She is pretty much everything to me. I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I always say that I'm in love with my best friends because I am. It's the same feeling as being in love, and I definitely am in love with Drew. For sure.
Okay, Drew, who she met at Los Angeles Children's Chorus when they were in Apprentice, and they became fast friends. They always had their hair parted on the side, and their side parts kept getting further and further and further over on their heads. I love that, Drew.
Billie and Zoey in whatever those are, tank top dresses.
Oh, they were, yeah, and these are my wigs from the Groundlings. This was a character I used to do, and they found these wigs, and they were so funny.
Maggie had a box of wigs in the attic, not just a couple wigs.
Tons of wigs, and they used to love to play in them. Oh my gosh, and Billie holding that snake. That was at your birthday party.
My 50th birthday party.
Yeah, your 50th birthday party, your brothers and I decided to have a little get-together to celebrate, and so we wanted it to be closer to where they live, so we rented an Airbnb or whatever equivalent. Verbo in the Berkshires, which was also
the most beautiful place
near
I
your
could
uncle.
imagine. Yep.
Your Uncle Meade. And I remember it had a creek running through it, so we just stayed there as a family. Vicky came out and Alan, just a few friends. And there was a creek there, and the kids loved it, and they played in that creek. And
a little pond. Frogs.
And Billie, of course, fearless, picked up snakes, never thought about it. She was always obsessed with any little animal she found, never, ever scared of them.
Dead or alive.
Oh, yeah, creepy. She could easily focus on a dead one. But this was an amazing place, and she had such a good time.
Phineas had this hair that he decided to do. They had some issues with that in choir.
Oh, yeah, they were not happy about that. Oh, in fact, at one thing they said, you have to not have this hair for some performance. And so we put one of those really temporary thick rinses on it. Do you know, that you just buy at the drugstore? And it just made his hair green. Oh, that was funny. But brown enough to accept it, but definitely technically green.
So, everybody knows Bieber was my life. I don't need to talk about it anymore. I've talked about it so much, and I shouldn't have talked about it as much as I have, but I have. Whatever, no regrets. But, I had multiple posters. I kissed them every night before I went to sleep. I made edits. I made video edits. I like made vines about it. I did lots of things. And this picture on the top right is a terrible picture, but it's the only picture we have from that day. This was my 12th birthday. And we were at the ice skating rink downtown. And one of my friends, like, there was suddenly, it grew like a huge crowd of young girls. And I was like, what is going on? And my friend Fiona was like, oh, I think like some celebrities over there or something. And then they kind of went over to like see, and we went and asked people like, what's going on? Like, who's here? And my friend came back over and she was like, dude, Justin Bieber is here. And I started to bawl. And that was kind of, yeah, that was a big moment for me. I remember this was like, I think Believe was about to come out. And so I don't remember how I got it, but somehow I ended up with a poster. Somebody that was there gave me a poster, and it was Justin Bieber's Believe. And in the picture on the bottom right, it's actually, or the bottom left, it's in the top right corner. And I still have it in my attic. I think of it, it's so precious to me. It's so wrinkled up and like messed up, but that was a big night for me. Even though he actually wasn't there, he was gonna drive by. That's all that the fans were waiting there for. And I was down with it. I stood in that crowd of girls for hours, I feel like. And I don't even know if we ever saw him. I remember at one point a car did drive by and a hand waved, but I don't even know if that was him. So we never saw him, but it was a big day anyway.
It's all Justin Bieber all the time.
Yeah.
This was a phase that started and never ended when she was so in love with Justin Bieber.
With the Justin Bieber posters festooning the walls.
I had so many days with her driving back and forth to dance, listening to Justin Bieber songs.
I had healthy hair at one point, guys. I really did. Gosh, I look so young in this picture. It's so funny. I remember thinking I was so grown up. Like, so grown up. Like, I remember thinking, like, I am the most grown up ever. I don't know. It's so funny. My face is so baby in this picture. This was a very big moment. I think that this moment really changed who I was. It's funny how things can do that. But honestly, when I think of who I was before I dyed my hair white and who I was after, it's a completely different person. Everything about me changed, I feel like. And yeah, that's all I can really say. I can't really describe it. Look how good it looks, too. Jesus.
She was 13 and she wanted to make her hair white. We said, okay, better than a lot of things you could do at 13. Sure. Her hair was so healthy, too. It looked amazing.
I always loved that platinum phase.
So pretty.
It was such a good platinum. It's just this
But the
beautiful
upkeep
silver.
on it was monstrous. It was like 2 hours every purple shampoo, and it was
And
not
purple all
easy to
over
keep
everything.
it
Was
look like
staining
that.
everything in the bathroom.
She was so good and so pretty doing Ariel. She loved it. I used to teach this class, and of course there were other teachers too who were much better. But I was her teacher at this point.
Well, there were performances. You guys, the whole class would do performances, and you would perform, and the kids would perform, and I loved seeing it. I did it briefly, but I dropped out.
It's too painful for you.
It was too painful.
That's
She'd always had this
crazy.
beautiful voice and incredible pitch.
I was recording Ocean Eyes. I was 13. I was a little baby. So I used to be in this dance company that I dreamed of being in. And I auditioned and I got in and I was so excited. It was all I wanted to do. I mean, I thought my future was dancing. I thought it was going to be being a backup dancer or, doing something that has to do with dancing. I did not expect my life to be what it is now. But I am not mad. That's for sure. I'm happy with it, how it turned out. But yeah, so with the dance company I was in, they would have this like sleepover. It was like a company sleepover, and it was only the company. It was so exciting, and it was my first year in the company, and so I was so excited to go, and I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't really know people. But I remember I had just dyed my hair that day, and the girl that dyed my hair was like, "Do you want me to do some like Dutch braids in your hair?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't even know what they were. She did some Dutch braids. I felt very cool. And then I remember that day, the boy I had a crush on wouldn't text me back, and I was so sad about it. And I remember feeling so terrible, and I was just sitting here trying to think of why I felt terrible, and I was like, oh, right, it's because some kid didn't text me back. It's so funny, like, what affects you so hard when you're young. I mean, even when you're older, little things get to you, dude, and that was what was bothering me. But anyway, I go to this sleepover, and we're just dancing, and everybody wears pajamas, and it was very fun. There was like glitter, and we were like throwing glitter, and we were like, it was very cute. And it gets to be a little later, and we're all kind of like performing for each other and doing our own talents and whatever, and we're all sitting in this circle, and they're like, "Billy, sing a song for us." And I was gassed up. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, well." And also because they had told me beforehand to bring a guitar, and I was like, "Oh my God, why?" So I sat in the middle, and it was the first time I'd ever performed for like a group of people that I knew, really, besides like talent shows and stuff, like on my own. And also I looked up to all these girls. Like I thought they were all cool. And I sat in the middle on this teeny little chair, and I sang Secret by Missy Higgins, and I remember being so bad. I was so nervous. My voice was all shaky. My voice cracked like 5 times. I was terrible. And I remember thinking like, God, they're going to think I suck. And what's funny is that in the company, they would always talk about how Tinashe used to dance at this company, and they would always be like, "It's so crazy. She got so famous, and she da, da, da." And they would always talk about her, and I remember being like, "Wow, that's so cool. Nobody's ever going to top that." Because I was like, Tinashe is so dope. Like, this is so cool that I danced where she danced. And I remember at this sleepover, they were like, "You could be up there with Tinashe." And I was like, never. I would never. It's funny, like, I think a lot of people think that when Ocean Eyes came out, suddenly I was a superstar and quit everything and just became, like, famous and blah, blah, blah. And it's not. It did not work like that at all. Yeah, my life stayed the same for a while. I was still dancing hours and hours and hours a day, and I was in choir still, and I was, doing all the same things I did. I was in circus class. I was in, I don't know. Nothing really changed. I mean, it was all for the first start of it. It was all through the internet, because, and what's funny? In my head, Ocean Eyes went viral, and it really didn't at all. It got like a couple thousand plays, and that was huge to me, because it is huge. But it's funny because it didn't like blow up the way that, some things really blow up. But to me, it was huge, and it was like the biggest moment in my life.
So amazingly, this picture of Billy recording Ocean Eyes, which they just recorded because Fred, Billy's dance teacher, and Phineas's dance teacher too, wanted to choreograph a dance to Billy singing something. And he had done it a couple years in a row to one of Phineas's songs for Phineas's classes. So he said, "Send me a song." And Phineas was like, "You should sing Ocean Eyes." So she did, just for this recital, right? They recorded it in the bedroom with dance moves in mind and this beautiful song, beautiful singing. And because it didn't really mean anything at the time, it was no different from the day before. It was like, now one day she's singing this in her room and Phineas is doing this, and this was just a thing. Like, never in 5 million years would I have thought, things would change from this. I love this song, but so what? It doesn't mean anything.
There's a lot of stuff we loved as artists over the years that, goes unnoticed and disappears.
Yeah. Yeah, because things started happening that were different in our life, but a lot of it was honestly like just meetings. It was like meeting with someone and meeting with someone else.
But it was significant because the industry, not the public at large yet, but the industry really woke up and took notice. And suddenly there were all these meetings to go to, and
Because they loved the
people
song.
came to the fore, and it was like, what is it? Who is it? What happened? Who wrote this? Who produced it?
And then life went on. She was still in choir. It was a very busy year. She was still in choir, and she was still in dance.
Still dancing.
Then we had a couple more songs, and we just kept writing, and then I did a couple shows, but they weren't real shows. I like opened for Michael, and then I opened for X, and in these little tiny venues. And it's funny, most of the venues that I was opening for artists in, they were either 18 plus or 21 plus, and so they would put X's on me and Phineas's hands so that we couldn't get drinks. And there was actually a couple shows that we played that we actually weren't allowed in the venue. So, and of course nobody knew me then, so nobody, like, it wasn't a problem. It was just like pretty inconvenient. We had to sit. I remember we played one show in San Diego, and we sat on the sidewalk outside of the venue until my set time. And I'm pretty sure 5 people were in the venue when I played. Probably 2 people actually listened. Yeah, it was a crazy period of time, but it was cute. It was very cute.
So Ocean Eyes came out in November, and this is like right away. We went to New York. We met with some people. You know, it was really interesting. It was a lot of meetings and a lot of Phineas and Billie, you know, walking into a room and singing. You know, Billie would sing in these rooms, and, you know, you'd go somewhere and they'd just say, do you have any more songs? And, you know, they'd be in these rooms with total strangers singing a few songs.
The show where I opened for Michael, Michl. And I remember when I played, it was in this tiny little venue in San Francisco, which I loved. And I remember having so much fun, and I hadn't played shows. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing yet, but I was singing and I was playing my ukulele and whatever. And I remember somebody in the audience just going, "Who is this girl?" And they said it in such a cute way, and then everybody laughed. And I don't know, I've thought about it ever since. I wonder, like, if that person remembers saying that, or if they remember saying it about me and it was me, you know? It's funny. Summer 16. What a summer. What a roller coaster. Gosh. This was, I went to FYF with my friends, and it was really life-changing. FYF Festival is fuck yeah festival. And I had never been to a festival before. Yeah, I went with a friend, and I was so excited. And I remember, you know, this is classic girl shit. I was wearing a skirt and like sweatshirt and carrying everything I brought in my hand, as we girls have to do, because ain't no pockets in skirts. And I remember we met up with my friends' other friends, and we were about to go to Young Thug's set, and we were like, "Hey, can you put our phones in your bags just so we don't have to hold them?" And I remember him being like so mad that we asked him to do that. It was so weird. Like, what's your problem? Like, Jesus Christ, you have a backpack on. What else are you gonna do with it? Put some, like, God bless. Anyway, the reason I say this all is because it was one of the most fun moments of my life, and I didn't have my phone, and I feel that really made it even better. And it was the day that I realized that a mosh pit is really the only place that I will ever feel that type of freedom. I have loved mosh pits since that day. I would go in any mosh pit. I don't care if I would break a bone. I don't care. It's what I've wanted to do. It's the most freeing feeling to be just in a group of people that don't care about you. Like, it's the best feeling to just be flopping around and like ramming into people, and they don't care because they're ramming into you, stepping on your feet and you're stepping on their feet, and you drop something and then people move and help you pick it up. It's like, it's such a good vibe when it's good people. I've seen them at all my shows forever. I mean, I made it like a goal, not even a goal, like I kind of made a deal with myself pretty much that I would do my best to get a crowd to be the same way I was at this festival. And I've really chased that feeling, and I feel that I've done it pretty well. I mean, it's really what I do when I do a show. I always have pits open up, and I always, make everybody jump, and I can't stand a crowd that won't jump. I'd rather just not do a show than have a crowd that won't move. And it all comes from, being a fan when I was younger and wanting to move and jump in a crowd, Oh, this day too, I remember waiting in the blazing sun for Denzel Curry's set because I was a huge fan. And I waited, and then we went in the mosh pit, and it was like very exciting. And of course, my friend was like obsessed with him too. And it's funny, like now Denzel is one of my best friends in the world. We've like been on tour together. He's come to like Thanksgiving dinners, and he's one of my closest friends. And I am so grateful for him. He really makes my life better. He makes everybody's life better.
This amazing day in August, signing the record deal.
Yeah, August, so Ocean
I
Ice.
took off work to go and watch.
Well, also, we were headed down to San Diego for that very gig where they had to sit out on the sidewalk.
When we got there, it was this bar on the side of a boulevard with planes about 40 feet overhead landing at the nearby airport in San Diego, and there was no one there, no audience. We were the only audience.
Yeah, it's true. And this had happened right before. She signed a record deal. We brought a couple friends. We brought Zoey and Frank Dana, I think, some friends of both of theirs, and Billie signed her record deal, and then we went to Veggie Grill to celebrate. Bellyache video was a freezing cold day.
Out in the desert.
That was so cool. That was so much fun.
So cool. It's a great video, great idea, beautifully executed.
Yeah, Billie had this idea, and that rain suit, she actually found that rain suit in our attic. I thought it was one of my Groundlings costumes. It was actually one that you had.
Yeah, I had it because I had, I always used to wear a rain suit in New York riding a bicycle in the rain. All year long I'd ride a bike in New York, but here it was harder to ride a bike. But I got a rain suit, and I sort of, was ambitious about it, but it sat up in the attic, and she found it.
And then she was like, I'm going to wear this on my cover
at
art for my song. Yeah, I was like, you're going to wear a rain suit?
And she did, and it was really
cool.
hot, and then it would rip. Then we got a whole bunch of rain suits, which we still have in a box in the store.
Yeah, because she was going to wear them on tour, and then she realized that was maybe not a good idea.
And then that's the first festival she played in San Diego.
She was so sick. She was sick as a dog.
They made the screen in the back yellow, which I thought was terribly hip of them.
Well, she asked them to.
I know, but it was cool that they did it.
That was her color at the time.
I used to, rather do a photo shoot than pretty much anything else, to be honest with you. I wanted to be on camera somehow over anything else. And I feel like you can really see it. Like I would do shoots that were hours and hours long, as they always are. They're never not that long. But, I was 14 in all of these, and I loved it. I really loved it. I was at a shoot the other day, actually, and the photographer was saying something about, being on camera and whatever, and he was asking me how I feel about it, and I was like, I don't think I answered him yet, but he literally was like, God, who does like to be on camera? Who likes it? Who wants to do these shoots? And I'm like, I do. And believe me, they can be incredibly excruciating and boring and awful, and especially if it's a group of people that you are not fond of, that can be very, very, very painful. Or something you don't like, or clothes you don't like, or makeup you don't like, or hair you don't like. Like, everything involved has to be right, but I've always loved it. I mean, I used to do photo shoots with myself. I'd set up my little camera that I got for Christmas when I was like 10 or 11, and I would set it up in the yard, and I'd put like a bed sheet up against the tree, and then put it behind me and like tape it to the sides, and I'd do my own photo shoots all the time, and I'd make my friends do it. I remember dressing my friends up and like making them go out in the rain in the middle of the street and lay down on the road because I just loved it. I just wanted to take pictures, and I wanted to be in pictures, and I loved it. So I'm really glad that I get to do that now, more I used to be very cool, I gotta say. When I was like 15, I think I was 15 here. Yeah. Yeah. I was very cool until I spoke. That's the truth. That is just the truth. All these pictures, I'm like, damn, look at those outfits. Like, look how cool I looked with that like facial expression and the crazy chains and stuff. And then as soon as I talked, you're like, oh right, she's 15. Oh God.
Well,
Billie's
these are
starting
just
to be Billie Eilish.
so pretty in all of her fashion. She had such strong opinions. I don't know where she got this incredible style, but she found all these clothes in thrift stores, and then when she started doing these shoots, she always picked out the coolest things.
Well, I would go thrifting with her at first. There was a thrift shop near us that had a 50% off everything in the store. You know, when it was already dirt cheap, we went. She piled a cart high with stuff. It was $13 or something. Well, then people began to be working with her and found her stuff, stylists and whatnot.
Well, they found stuff that she then chose and she
Sure.
liked. This girl, she's so sweet. This was her first headlining show in London at the Courtyard. It was sold out. It was a tiny venue, but it was sold out. It was like 150 people or something lined up down the block to get in, and this girl
Well, we
was
showed up
first in line.
at sound check at like 4, and there was this line of kids going down the block and around the corner. We were like, "What's that?" And that was the beginning. That was the realization of, oh my gosh, a phenomenon is happening here. They packed that place.
A lot of this book is so many pictures of periods of time that were just like really rough. You know, when I was 14, you know, in a Sprinter van and driving all over the country and staying in Motel 6s because we couldn't afford anything else. And, you know, it was totally fine. It's just, it was a lot. And you know, you have to work that hard to get somewhere. And we did that for a while. And it's a lot of work. And I was so exhausted for so much time. And we worked really hard. I gotta say, we worked very hard. I really did not stop. I kept going, and clearly it did something. Don't Smile at Me was the first project that I ever made. My brother and I made it when I was 14, and then when I was 15 also, and when he was 18 and 19. So this was a very baby EP. Yeah, it was an absolute shit show to make this EP. It was so it was also the last time we've ever used the studio since, because of it. I hate using studios. I just can't be in a room with no windows, dude. I really can't. And the stuffy air and the darkness. Oh. So it's just not I don't know how to create in a space like that. And we tried to do that with Don't Smile at Me because he's my brother and we lived together, because we grew up together and we were 14 and 18. You know, we kind of had this feeling of like, well, if we want to make music and we have a deadline, you know, because when you're at home, it's really easy to switch off your work mode and just be like, oh, I'm going to go make a sandwich, you know, because it's my kitchen. I'm going to go play with my dog because it's my house, you know. So we kind of were like, well, we don't want to get too distracted easily. So let's like rent a studio out and like try to actually get work done with like a schedule. And it was the most horrible experience of my life. It sucked. It was so terrible. On top of that, for the cover of the EP, I wanted it to be yellow background with a red ladder, big, thick red ladder, but I want it to look like a little kid's ladder, but just huge. I had my dad build this ladder, and he killed it. It was exactly what I wanted. We put up a big yellow cyc and red crazy outfit, and I wanted like miles and miles of chains, and I got it, and I almost died because the chains were so heavy, and it was probably like 30 pounds of chains on my neck, like 20-30 pounds. And because of the position I wanted to be in, I was like folded over the top of the ladder, and at one point I was upside down, and the chains got stuck underneath the ladder. And so I couldn't breathe and I couldn't get up because if I got up, it would pull.
Danny, her manager, called me and said, so you're going to be building this ladder. And I was like, what ladder? Oh, hasn't Billie talked to you about it? No. Oh, well, talk to Billie about the ladder. So I said, Billie, what about a ladder? And she immediately showed me a picture on her phone that she'd seen of this ladder. It was a little 3-step kid's ladder. She said, I want this, but I want it 6 feet tall. So I designed it so that it would look, if you weren't on it or next to it, like a little 3-foot tall ladder. So you can see that the steps are really 1.5 feet apart. It's not ergonomic. But then she got on it, and it has this kind of marvelously strange perspective, dwarfing. And
This is the image she
knew
had in her mind.
exactly what she wanted. And I built it happily, correctly. But I had to vet, I had to keep showing it to her. And I said, do you want this paint tray? And do you want what color? And then I went to the store, and we got chips, and she picked it all, and it was exactly right.
And she almost choked to death with those chains
Yep.
because when she leaned over, they were all one piece. And so when they leaned over, they fell down, tightening around her neck. I was in a panic. We were all trying to get these off of her without choking her. It was very scary.
So that was great. It was fun. This was also the first shoot I ever did with Kenneth Capello, who is kind of now my guy when it comes to shoots like this. He shot all my album covers, which is, again, only 2 at the moment. But he's done all my press shoots. He's, we use him whenever we can. He is the best. He's great. He has these 2 little ugly dogs that he always brings around. They're so ugly, but they're so cute. And he knows it.
Long before we had security or barricades or any kind of separation between audience and stage, or really fan and Billie. After every show, she used to stick around and greet everybody. That was the meet and greet. Just this big informal crowd of people surrounding them. The venues were unamused.
Yeah.
The venues
stayed
were
a
like,
long
you
time.
got to get out of here now. We're closing up. And there are 600 kids, pressing in.
Lots of flying, so lots of riding in airports. Australia in particular. Oh, so tired.
And trying to sleep on various things, subways, trains, planes.
That was a tiring period. Yeah,
It's the
that
hostage video.
was my birthday, so of course I spent it there all day, but that was a nice place to be.
I did. I came to the shoot for part of the day with Phineas, I think,
Yeah.
to see what was what.
Oh,
Boy, that was an
looks so
undertaking.
cool. That was a great shoot. I love that. I loved
It's beautiful.
that whole concept.
That was also one of those times where I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. It was a huge soundstage with an enormous set and this big light superstructure and all these people and crew. I was like, this is massive.
I know. Michelle and
It's just
Chelsea
the
came
beginning.
up.
It's funny. This was the first time I ever had a friend come out with me on tour. And of course, that friend was Drew, because who else? And why it's funny is that Drew has such a crazy, busy life that she actually since then has never come out on tour with me again because she's just, it's funny, me and Drew have like the same schedules, but hers is just like normal life shit that she has to do, and mine is like crazy shit that I have to do, but it's the same amount of work. I feel like she works so hard and she does so much, and Drew is really smart and very hardworking, and so it's never been like why won't Drew? No, like this girl like works, dude. Maybe one day I'll force her to come back out on tour.
Oh, that's the day Drew left. She was so sad. Drew had been here and they had so much. It was Easter. She left on Easter, and I got up and I had made everybody on the bus, Billie and Drew, Phineas, everybody made little Easter baskets of vegan candy. So we took Drew to the airport with her little vegan, and Billie got up to drive with her to the airport. Oh, she was heartbroken. She loved having Drew there.
But it was really fun. This was a very good period of life. This was like my first like tour with a band, meaning my brother and my drummer Andrew, that I still have as my drummer. And Drew came out, and it was great, and we were in New York. This was, I think, I'm gonna say, Jesus Christ, I think it was May of 2018. And I went to New York to do this photo shoot for Jordan. We literally left to come back home the next day. And at the airport, when we got to Los Angeles, we got a call and they were like, Khalid wants you to do Lovely with him at his show tonight at the Greek. And we were at the airport, and it was such a crazy thing. And the Greek was like such an iconic venue to me at the time. And Khalid was, having the biggest year of all time that year. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I remember I went home and I got dressed and we went to the Greek and I met Miguel and I remember like shitting my pants and then saw Khalid and we rehearsed it a couple of times and then I went out and did it with him and it was really fun.
She always knew exactly what she wanted to wear in all these shoots and exactly the faces she wanted to make. Like I would say, are you pulling a face? Oh yeah. She had an idea. This is how she wanted to look in the picture. And she was right. You couldn't argue with it.
Governor's Ball, I don't know why. She was convinced no one was going to be there for her set. It was massive. And it was fairly early in the day, too. And it was a massive crowd. It was,
and it was
so
under a
cool.
tent canopy thing, and it was deafening.
That was a great moment.
It's funny. I've always been drawn to visuals that are just eccentric. And it's funny because when I made this video of me, standing there and then I open my mouth and a spider crawls out, I didn't think people would be like, oh, flipped out about it or, oh, she's creepy or she's scary or something. I thought that people would feel the way I feel about art, which is just, wow, that is so insane. What I'm trying to say is, I guess I just had higher expectations for other people's taste. Listen, I'm not saying my videos are amazing and whatever. I'm just saying that just seeing something that's eccentric and weird and going, oh, that's creepy and ew, like, yuck. Like, I don't respect when somebody sees something that's different and kind of alarming and interesting and unique and just goes like, ew, that's so weird. Like, that's so lame. Like, why can't you have an open mind and see the art in it and see the like oddness about it and the weirdness about it. That's what I expected, and it's so funny that from then on, from when I made that video on, I was known as this like creepy artist and like scary and all these like it's not. I was never trying to be scary. I was trying to be, I was trying to just make art and make unique art, and it was somehow taken as like a weird satanic like thing when really it's just eccentricity, if that's a word. So my whole life I have suffered through a lot of injuries. I'm really flexible, and that's I think that was kind of the reason that I got so injured, is because I was using the wrong parts of my body to do things in dance and gymnastics and everything, and it really fucked my body up. And I really suffered through it. I got through it. I can't even tell you how many shows I've done with a boot on, with 2 braces on, with 1 brace on, with with wraps, with tape, with everything, with, a sprained ankle, with a fucked up knee and a weird shoulder and a broken whatever. And, I have really worked hard on healing and really working out and getting strong, and I have now, knock on wood, I have not gotten injured the way that I used to all the time in over a year, which is really big for me. It's really, really a big deal. I have been getting large injuries since I was, I think, 8 up until last year. And I am only now recovering and doing good, and it's great. So, like anybody cares, but it's big to me.
Oh my gosh.
The sprained ankles, the litany.
In Chicago, she sprained her ankle. But then that Osheaga, yeah, she went on with crutches and a boot. I had to drive all over to try to find that boot. Lauren, I think, tracked it down. Then I drove across town and got it. Did we even have Lauren then?
No,
Was it
that was
Lauren?
long before Lauren.
I tracked it down. What am
Sure.
I saying? I'm
You did everything
transferring
until
all
we
my
got
jobs to
Lauren.
other people. No, that's when I did all those jobs. That's when I did many people's jobs. Yeah, I found this boot across town, drove over there in a Canadian Uber. But Osheaga was a fun festival. It was really huge. Yeah, we had to drive so far
In the golf cart.
in the golf carts. Seeing Takashi's studio, that was an incredible
This
day.
picture of me with the fans, that we came through customs. This is all before we had any kind of, help in this regard. And in Korea, all these kids had shown up, and Billy sort of got whisked away into a van and disappeared, and then I had to stay and get all our gear through customs. And I had to sort of wait there until our front of house engineer went down the way and talked to the customs. And I ended up talking to all these fans for the longest time. And I was like, "You guys all know each other?" And they said, "No." None of them knew each other. They'd all kind of communicated on the internet and guessed what flight she came in on. And there they were. They were so
Happened all
nice.
over. And we went to see Murakami's studio, and then Billy, has this eye for things, and I'd go with her to various places, and she'd have me take pictures of her in these cool environments that she knew would look good. Takashi, what a great guy. He's an incredible genius.
They were both artists, so he saw what he could do with her, and she saw what she could do with him, and it was almost as if they didn't talk about it. It just happened.
Well, they talked a lot. They were talking about the animated video when she got the cast of her head done. Oh, that was a scary day. I've had it done myself twice, and I've had a full body one done. And it's pretty scary to be inside it, but I felt it was scarier to watch this because it was terrifying.
Well, it's all the silicone, and then over that is plaster of Paris. So it eventually becomes rigid and hard and hot as it cures. And she's not allowed to move, blink, or can't talk. All she has those holes for her nose.
So it was very scary, and I was worried about her the whole time. And then, of course, then she finished, and she got right up in the aerial rig in the backyard.
All her ideas for her wonderful, creepy videos, turning upside down and needles in her back and monsters under the bed.
Yeah, that hotel was really creepy all unto itself, too. Oh, she got her car.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that photo shoot, honestly, was the longest day, on the longest week, on the longest month of the longest year. She was completely fried like nobody's business. I mean, that car, it was an amazing moment, and especially after that day and that year when she had worked so hard and she was so tired.
And they really organized it really well. They figured out how to get it and kept it secret, and we got it insured, and we got it wrapped, and then they found this bow of the exact kind of blush color that Billy loved and put it on the front and drove it into the studio.
At the end of the day,
a pretty great moment.
When she was convinced nobody was going to remember her birthday.
Nobody cared about her.
At the Ellen show, they wanted to do a bit where Billy was in disguise as a fan of Billie Eilish, and they brought back other fans, and they interviewed them about trivia and questions about Billy, and Billy was standing amongst them, dressed in these clothes that we had put together from boxes of old clothes of mine and some of her merch, and it was so cute.
Beautiful Paris. I've been missing Paris lately. I can't wait to go back there. I really am excited to go back when I can.
Oh, walking down the streets of Paris. It was so fun to be in Paris, though. At least we were getting to see something.
Well, there we are. Scotland.
We had a whole day
Loch
off.
Lomond, right?
And we took a car to Loch Lomond. And that was so fun.
God, that was beautiful.
We had hot chocolate in a little
Yep.
vegan hot chocolate. Oh, dear. With shin splints. Oh, my gosh.
Brian, the tour manager, and I carried her around a lot on this tour.
Because her calves just really...
She had to
It
be
turned out her
carried.
calves were not really strong enough for all the jumping she was doing, so eventually she went to training. Oh, her
Look at
sprain. Oh, my
color,
gosh.
that bruise.
So my debut album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, came out March 29th, my mom's birthday. It was such a big moment. It was something I'd been excited for, the moment we started working on the album. It was a lot more fun making that album than it was making Don't Smile at Me, just because of the way we did it. But it was also really hard. It was a lot of work, and also a period of my life where I was not mentally very stable. Also a period where I really, really did not like fame and was very, very strong-willed about not liking it. And yeah, it was rough. And also a period of time where I was not very confident with my songwriting. I was still writing a ton, and it was fine, but I wasn't as confident as like I am now. Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough, and we also had a deadline, which kind of made it harder because for some songs we didn't know what to do with them, and we were anxious, and it was the debut album, and that's a lot of pressure, and so it was a lot, but it was really, really satisfying at the end, and I was so happy with it, and the release party was so fun. I did this experience where I had a room for every single song off the album, and every room, because of my synesthesia, had a number, a color, a shape, a smell, a temperature, everything you can imagine that goes with synesthesia. And it was so much fun. I had everybody I know come to the first night when the album dropped, and it was really, really fun. And then it was open to the public, I think, for like a week or two afterwards. So yeah, I was really proud of that. I hope to do something like that for every drop I do. Something in the realm of that.
Oh, we were in Europe, and Billy and I, we had to go out to some press, and then we'd find these billboards, and that was cool. The billboards all over the world.
So with Bury a Friend, because the album When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go is sort of based off of the movie The Babadook, this song was kind of the main song of the album in terms of the theme of it, and so I did definitely do this video and kind of did make it more horror, but only pretty much because it was kind of what people were gravitating towards and what they kept calling me. So I was like, I might as well just own this right now and make a creepy video. But again, it's not only me trying to be creepy, it's also artistic. There's certain parts of this video that I still love and I'm so proud of, but I will say it is very creepy, so I understand.
Oh, her copy of the Babadook. This book, she was so excited to get a copy of this book because she was obsessed with the movie by Jennifer Kent of the Babadook. She loved this movie, and she wanted me to watch it so much, and I was like, I don't want to watch a horror movie. I don't like them. She made me watch it, and it was so good. It was so interesting and psychological, and she loved this movie. And in the movie, there's a book of the Babadook, and this inspired so much of her thinking. And then she was given a copy of the book, and she was so thrilled. And she got to meet Jennifer Kent, which was beyond, because she is so talented, and Billy was so excited to meet her.
Coachella was crazy. Everything about it was crazy. It was very, very fun, and the shows were so fun and so exciting.
Touring summed up Billy and Phineas asleep on each other's shoulder. Those were tiring, tiring years. and you have to get up so early and press all day and shows all night, and so tiring.
Gosh, the cute ass fans. Oh my God. Every time I see pictures of them, I get all jumpy. Oh my God. So cute. So we did this show in Redmond, Washington that was just, the whole day was one of my favorite days of my life. And I think that all of my people also agree. I'm sitting here with Laura and we're both nodding our heads about this. This was one of the best days ever. It was so much fun. It was at this venue where it was this big field of just grass and trees. It was literally a park. And there was a house, and that's where the green rooms were. And it was so homey. And the venue was this outdoor theater. And we had a bunch of rescue puppies come, and we played with the puppies, and we played a game of ultimate frisbee. And we were scootering around the whole park. And I remember we scootered off into this, me and Denzel and Shane, we all scootered off into this ditch, and we found a tortoise. And then we found a turtle. Oh my God, it was so weird. It was so much fun. And we had this whole park to ourselves, and we were just scootering around, and God, it was so good. And then we found some ice cream, and then a bunch of ice cream got delivered. It was so fun. And then the show on top of that, usually when we have a good day, the show can sometimes be terrible. That's how life kind of is. Sometimes you have a bad day and you have an amazing show. Sometimes you have a good day and you have a weird show. Everything about the show was good. I'm telling you, this was one of the best days on earth. I don't know how we deserved to get this day, but it was so much fun. So much fun. Oh my God, I just remembered that we also had a little barbecue after, at night. I think that I don't remember who was cooking. It was so cute. There was a grill outside, and he was making these Beyond sausages. Oh my God, they were delicious. And I think it was the first time I'd had Beyond sausages, and I was like, oh, this is so good. And we were sitting there, and we were all eating our hot dogs, and we were talking, and it was these kids giving them to us. It was so cute. It was I think it was the venue guys and his kids, and there was a bunch of dogs just wandering about trying to eat the hot dogs. It was a very, very, very good day. It was a good day.
The scooter era, that was a happy, happy time. She loved that tour so much. She was so happy scootering everywhere.
We got in these venues that had big open floors, and she could scooter around, and there were even hallways backstage she could scooter on.
I was so scared she was going to break another
this wonderful
ankle.
Stage that was lit, was all LED, the floor.
And she had Zoey with her, and she had Denzel. It was incredible fun. We got to drive in that fancy car. That tour was just fun from start to finish. Aside from the fact that she sprained her ankle at the Greek.
Yep.
She sprained her ankle carrying a scooter down the stairs.
Salt Lake. I'm always doing things that make my team have to be in the most random positions. We had to do this show in Salt Lake. So there's this big salt flat, and it was just there. It was right there where we were to do the show. It was so random. There was a venue and a stage and green rooms, and then you look to the right, and there's this huge desert looking thing. And I was like, ooh, let me put an outfit on and go out there and take pictures. And I did. And I remember hopping on a scooter and trying to scooter on the sand, and it did not work. The scooter died halfway through. And then, of course, Laura came in. She was like, you have to do a phone interview. And I was like, too bad. She was like, no, you have to do it. It's with France. And I was like, okay. And so she handed me the phone. And so I'm literally standing in the middle of, you see these pictures. I look like I'm on a different planet. And I'm standing on this huge open desert looking place doing this phone interview with France. And I could barely hear what they were saying, and they could barely hear what I was saying because the connection was terrible, and it was hilarious. So I'm always putting people in positions that are very ridiculous, but it was fun. Then we played Frisbee, and that was fun. We played Frisbee a lot on this tour. In all these arenas we would play, we would always have scooters or little bikes or trolleys, whatever, and we would just ride around the big arena, and it was so much fun. And Denzel, Zoe and I were riding on these scooters because Zoe came on this tour, which was just life-changing. It was, oh my God, it was the best tour. This was the most amazing tour. So me and Zoe were riding on these little like trikes in the venue, and Denzel came out and was big dumb and came over and jumped on the back of Zoe's, and then he was like, ride. And so she just rode around the arena with him in this insane position with his arms on her back and his legs up in the air and his belly on the floor of the dirty arena. Oh my God, it was so funny. Every time I see this picture, I die. I have a video of it too. Oh my God, it's the most ridiculous, goofy thing I've ever seen.
At the Kansas City Arena, next to the huge arena where Billie was performing, was an ice rink. And wandering around backstage, the whole place was so big, I took notice of these two Zambonis parked, and I was like, Zambonis? And indeed, there was this ice rink. And after the show, the venue staff said, you guys want to all go skating? And we all did, the crew and musicians and everybody.
And Denzel, I think
Yes.
that was clearly his first time on skates. That
People
was
who were
one
really
of
good
the
skaters.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen.
But they gave us hockey sticks and pucks, which you never get to play with on an ice rink, a public ice rink. And so, we set up this thing where you'd shoot them down the ice and try to make a goal. And everybody was game. Denzel was happy to be there.
That was
we were happy
really,
to have
really,
him.
really fun.
Some of the venues had ice under the floor, and they would cover it all with plywood. And she'd do a show in the rink with the ice under the audience. Pretty interesting.
Oh, all the fans in New York City. They are
Another
so
outdoor show
heavenly.
with terrible inclement weather. Came and went and came and went. And we finally did the show anyway. And it rained, and then it stopped, and it rained. Nobody left.
Ugh, this was one of the best shows on this tour. Chicago, God, mwah, Chicago was so much fun to play. I love Chicago. And I got so many friends in Chicago. It makes me so happy to go out there. Some baby fans being adorable. This was actually really cute. This was a show I did. I don't remember where this show was, but me and Zoe were at catering. I think it was Zoe and Shane. We had just eaten and we were standing in this, we were just standing right outside of catering, and we were playing Ninja, as we always did on this tour. We played Ninja all day, every day, for real. And we looked over and I realized that there was this big gate, and I realized that all the fans were behind the gate, and they were all kind of peeking through. They were coming underneath. They were poking their heads underneath, poking their heads over, and I was like, that's cute. And Denzel was like, dude, you should get some of them and they should play Ninja with us. And so I ran over and I hugged a bunch of them, and I opened the gate and I was like, who wants to come play Ninja? And then we picked a couple people and we played a game of Ninja. It was so much fun. And it was so funny. This one girl, I just picked randomly. I didn't even look. I just picked any hand that I saw up. And she came in and she had a broken leg and crutches. And I was like, girl, you are such a trooper wanting to play Ninja right now with these crutches. It was very cute. It was really fun. Something that the fans do that I just hold so dear to my heart is they somehow all coordinate with each other to hold up a specific sign for a specific song. And it is really the cutest thing. I can't even describe it. One time, they all held up a piece of paper that said, "We're here to stay." And it was so moving. And it really got to me. And I think about it a lot. Yeah, I don't really have much to say else. They're so precious. And I am always dying to see them again. God, I can't even describe it to you. I just miss them so much. And I love them. And yeah, let me stop. So in I want to say maybe the beginning of 2018 or sometime in 2017, a friend of mine sent me a video and she was like, dude, I saw this dance to your song and it's so sick. Look at this. And it was at a dance competition or some sort of dance show, whatever. And it was this group and they were doing it to a song of mine called Ann Burn, which at the time I loved. That was one of my favorite songs of mine, and I felt like nobody liked it. And to see people appreciate that song and show recognition really immediately just like meant a lot to me. And because growing up as a dancer, I used to just watch dance videos and dance competitions and, everything that had to do with dance on YouTube all the time. And here was this video of these dancers, doing a dope routine to my song. It was so, so cool. And it was so well done. And they're like in this boat and they're like up in the wall and they jump out. It was amazing. And I basically sent it to the team and I was like, you guys, this is the dopest shit I've ever seen. And is there any way we could like use them in something? Could they come and perform or whatever? And so we had them come out to do Coachella with us, which was dope. And then when the end of my US tour came, I had these like a few LA shows and they came and they did them with me and it was amazing. Then they came to San Diego and did San Diego and it was so much fun and they were amazing and it was such a surreal thing and I've never had dancers before and I haven't still and it was very fun and cool. I felt like an artist. Like oh, my sweet Drew. Yeah, this is little Drewby. I've talked about Drew enough. I never shut up about Drew, bro. Sweet Zoey on tour. Zoey really, this tour, I could not have gotten through this tour without Zoey. It was an amazing tour, but a lot of changes happened in my life, and I needed the emotional support, and she really got me, man. Also, my team, my mom, Laura, Phineas, Denzel, all these people really helped me out of some stuff, but, yeah.
Ooh, Billie Joe Armstrong. Wow, that was so incredible. After all those years of being super fans. And especially Phineas showed up because Phineas had been the world's biggest Green Day fan. And he showed up to meet him this day. It was pretty exciting for all of us.
I really put myself through some intense stuff with my music videos. Mainly because I really have a need to do things as practically as possible. I try not to use CGI as much as possible. I mean, sometimes you have to use it for certain things that are literally impossible to shoot, but in general, I really want to do as much as I can to make things actually real and to actually go through them and feel them so I can actually like act and like do what I need to do to perform, what I'm feeling. Anyway, yeah, Good Girls, this shoot was really brutal. It was overnight, and so it was like 5 a.m, and it was freezing cold, and I had these like 100-pound wings on my back, and they were covered in goo, and I was in so much pain. I had bruises all over my body afterwards, and I was so sore, and gosh, it was so crazy, but it was so much fun. It was fun. The thing is, it's so satisfying to do this kind of thing and like have the outcome that I've had, It's really like nothing else, so that's why I do it. I have always loved videos and always wanted to direct my own videos and other people's videos, and I worked really hard on convincing people that I know what I'm doing and that I want what I want, and I think I really won people over, meaning like my team, because of course, a 14-year-old girl, you're not going to hear a 14-year-old girl go, yeah, I want to direct all my own music videos, and you just go like, sure, great, here you go. You gotta earn people's trust, and you gotta show that you really do care and really work hard and learn. Yeah, so it's really about believing in people, but also knowing that people have to believe in you. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect everybody to just let you do anything all the time, but you also should know that people shouldn't be. It's kind of like a balance. Like, you should know that people, it's not normal, and it shouldn't be normal for people to just say, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, because blah 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 blah. That's not what I'm saying. That is not acceptable. Anytime somebody tells me their manager or their label or their whoever is like, oh, well, my manager or my label said that they don't like my songs or that they didn't want me to do that because they don't like any of the songs I said here, or they told me not to. That is some bullshit. I do not accept that. And there's a difference between that versus your label or your managers or your team or whoever actually trying to help you versus just shoot you down. Because it's, again, a balance of knowing that you don't know everything and other people might know more than you and might have good advice to give you, but also not letting people just say no to you all the time. It's really about listening to people, but also sticking to your own wants and needs and opinions and just kind of finding that balance between them. And I feel that I have, and my team is really good at listening to me and communicating. And yeah, it's really important to have a good group of people around you. My parents, whenever there's a billboard of me, they try to go and take a picture in front of it. It's very cute.
Remember you and I drove around and saw all the billboards all over?
Yeah. All these billboards we've seen for all our lives in West Hollywood on Sunset Strip. And then this time they were Billie for the most part.
The Europe tour that we went on in, I think, August, September of 2019 was the best tour of my life. It was probably the best month of my life, honestly. When I think about it, I just think of like glowing things. Like when I think about that tour, God, I get in such a trance. I loved that tour. Everything about it was perfect. I was in such a good place mentally, and we just had so much fun, and like everything about it was good. I felt so solid as a person, and I was growing, and I was healing, and I was, it was great. It was so good. Everything about it. The thing about this tour being so amazing is so hilarious because, like, I have proof that it was amazing because I was sick the entire time. My right ear was plugged for the first 2 weeks, and I had laryngitis, and I sprained my ankle in the middle of the tour, and then had to get an MRI, and I had recently gotten a bunch of piercings on my ears, and at the MRI, they made me take all my piercings out, and they all closed. In this tour, all of these things happened. It was a lot on this tour, and somehow it was the best tour of my life. And the shows were amazing, and just everything about it was so fun. I took my friend Tokyo out. He opened for a bunch of the shows on that tour, and then Jay Gray also opened, and she's dope, and it was really fun. We did a bunch of festivals. It was so amazing. God, I wish we could go back to that tour one day.
As she says, she's lucky to have her family with us. We're so lucky to be able to be with Phineas and Billie on tour.
So lucky. Ireland, the show at Electric Picnic was one of the best shows ever. It was the night before she sprained her ankle in Milan, and it was a magical night. It was Irish. It was cold and blowing, and the audience was the best audience. They were so great.
And we flew to Ireland from somewhere in Europe, Prague or something, to Ireland, and then the next day, or that night,
to Milan.
So this
awesome.
is all backstage in Ireland in the beautiful green grass.
And then Milan, the saddest night. There's a whole story behind that, but
it's very,
sum
very
it up
frustrating.
With a terrible sprain.
The fans are indeed the best part of all of it. I mean, they're just incredible. So amazing to go around the world basically spreading joy,
Yeah. Seeing people and having the most fun nights with them.
Reading and Leeds, I played, and I don't remember if this is Reading or Leeds, but after the show, when we got on the bus to go, to the next location, we were... Oh my gosh. Okay, so this top picture on the left of me lying on the ground looking so pathetic. Okay, this is how the story goes. So when you're on a tour bus, basically there's a rule that you can't poop in the toilet, and you also can't throw toilet paper in the toilet. Just pee, and that is it. And so we had a new busser on the bus with us. And he is the most like precious little thing in the world. So he was about to come on like the rest of the tour with us. Yeah, so he'd never been on a tour bus before, so he didn't really know the rules. And so, you know, every time some new person comes on the bus, you gotta teach them the rules about tour buses and all the everything. And so with the bathroom rules on tour buses, it's, again, you can't poop, you can't throw toilet paper in the toilet. So if you do have to poop and we can't stop because of whatever reason, there's a thing called hot bagging, which is you put a plastic bag over the toilet and you poop into the bag, and then basically you just tie it up, and you kind of have to just keep it with you until you stop. So it could be hours, it could be a day, like for real. It's nuts. So I've never hot bagged. I have not. A lot of people have. I'm sure I will one day. But we've been driving for like an hour, and he was like, I really have to go to the bathroom. And we're all like, well, like, you have to like shit? And he was like, yeah. And we're like, you can't shit on the bus. And he was like, oh, well, can we stop? We didn't have a tight schedule, but we wanted to fuck with him. So we were like, we can't stop. What are you going to do? You're going to have to poop in a bag. And he started to flip out. So Brian, who's my tour manager, was fucking with him. And he was like, we can't stop. And I don't think we have any plastic bags. What are you going to do? And we were all flipping him out. And Brian's like, well, you know, I have this towel. You know, you could just poop in the towel. And I swear none of us have laughed that loud. And he was losing his shit. And he's like, but I have to go. I have to go. And Brian is like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, we can't stop. We have to get somewhere. And we have to keep driving. If we stop, it'll mess up the whole route. Like, you gotta just put shit in this towel. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. And we told you to poop before. And he's like, I'm so, like, I don't want to do it. And he's like, and he takes the towel and he started to go into the bathroom. And then he goes, wait. And he realized that we were already pulling into a truck stop to let him go to the bathroom. Anyway, we get to this truck stop. We go in. He goes to the bathroom, he gets it out, you know, and I go to the bathroom too. And suddenly I get this horrible pain in my stomach. And I grew up with stomach aches, like crazy stomach aches. And then we found out later that it was because I was allergic to dairy. Of course, like everybody actually is and just pretends they're not. So I was very used to having stomach aches. And also, like, my stomach is just weird. I just get stomach aches from everything. Like, soy gives me a stomach ache, but I don't care. Dairy gives me a stomach ache. Gluten gives me a stomach ache. Like, emotions give me a stomach ache. Like, everything gives me a stomach ache. Anyway, and I just get this feeling, and I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. And I come out of the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, and it gets so overwhelming, and I just lay down on the concrete of this gross gas station parking lot in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. It was like, I don't know what was going on, but it was the most me shit to do, to not just walk 20 more feet to the bus to lay down. I lay down on the fucking gravel. It's stupid as hell. And I remember, this was also like probably like 12 a.m. And this guy was going in the gas station, like, to get some chips or something. I don't know, whatever. And he's walking by and he looked at me, and I swear he was like, what the fuck? Like, he must have said something, because he clearly knew who I was, and he looked at me and he like did like 4 double takes, I swear. He just kept being like, what? And he walked in and he looked so confused. And then we went to the bus and I put a hot pack on my belly and whatever. Anyway, there's this meme that it's just this dude and he's like clutching his stomach, and it just says, I'm gonna fucking die disease. And then it says, tummy hurts a bit too much for a bit too long. And it's just, I just thought that was so funny, because it's been my entire life. And I just feel like so many people can relate. You just have a stomach ache where you're just like, I'm gonna die. And just so y'all men know, that's what a period is like. All day long, every day, for a week. Anyway, let's move on. Trevor. So this dude with the tattoos, as most of you know, he doesn't wear underwear. Oh my God, such a fucking weirdo. He doesn't wear underwear, and he wears skinny jeans every day. He also doesn't have an eye. He has one eye and an eye patch. He is like one of my favorite people on earth. I love Trevor to death. Trevor's my guitar tech. I think I've known him since I was like 16. He is hilarious and he is very honest, and he is one of my favorite people for a lot of reasons, but especially because he doesn't hold back from telling me I'm being an idiot. And it's really hard to find people like that when your life is the way that my life is. And that's why I really hold on to him, because he really tells me if I'm being a huge, huge moron. He tells it straight up, but he's also honest. And so that means, you know, when he says something's cool and something's good and something's smart, you believe him because he's telling you the truth all the time. Shout out to Maddie Vogel for taking all these pictures. Maddie is such a little cute. He's such a good hang. Yeah, we love Maddie. Yes, there's this picture of me and Trevor playing speed, and because I had acrylics for this period of time, like long acrylics, I was like, this isn't fair because it's way harder for me than it is for you because you don't have acrylics. So we got some fake acrylics and we taped them to Trevor's hands so that we were even. And yeah, and then I put his eye patch on so that we were even too. And it really didn't change anything, honestly. It was kind of exactly the same as usual. I won. No, we're both very good at that game, so it just depends. Oh my God. Okay. So September of 2019, we went to Vegas to play Life is Beautiful and iHeartRadio Festival, and we got an Airbnb out there, and oh my God, it had a trampoline in the ground in the yard, which is just undeniably the most fun thing ever. And we got there and we all just bounced on the trampoline, and I had 2 sprained ankles. I had one that was freshly sprained like a month before, and then I had one that was like sprained 2 months before that. Ridiculous. And I didn't care. We went on the trampoline. Anyway, I have never laughed so hard in my life. I actually peed my pants. Let me describe. Brian was going apeshit on the trampoline, and he jumped these crazy jumps, bouncing me in the air, shooting me to space with his jumps. And I was landing on my face on the way back down. And Danny, my manager, was on the side taking pictures, and he took this one picture of Brian where, because of the light, because it was so dark, the picture kind of delayed and took it in this way where he is like shaped so weird. And Danny pulled up the picture, and I have never seen Danny laugh that hard. And Danny started to cry because he laughed so hard. And it was the funniest thing on earth. So it made me laugh really hard, and then I was crying. And then I had to pee, and I was taking a video of Brian jumping, and then I was holding my crotch, as you can see, and then I fell to the ground, as you do when you laugh, and I just stayed there. It was very fun. That was a very, very special week, and SNL was so much fun, and everybody was so welcoming, and I feel like I really made a lifelong friend, Woody Harrelson, this week. He was so kind to me and so, like, such a mentor, and it was so much fun. We saw Harry Potter, the Broadway show, that week, and it was unbelievable. I didn't want to see it at all. I was dreading the shit out of it. I was like, 6 hours? No thanks. And we go, and it's the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like, the coolest shit ever. So good. I love New York. I miss New York. This was such a fun week. So I played ACL, right? Which is 2 weekends. And the first weekend, it was so much fun. I really had a very good time. And whenever I can, I try to go out into the audience during the show. However I can. Sometimes it's really hard because of the way the venue's set up. But for this one, it was really easy. And I could just take guards and just go out and jump up on the barricades and whatever. I got back to stage and I realized that one of my rings was gone. And I remember saying, who took my fucking ring? And I was basically joking. I wasn't that serious about it. I only had a few pinky rings because my pinkies are like fat as fuck and no rings fit them. And so I only had a few and I really liked them. So I was like so stupid and like precious about these rings, whatever. But I had more. It wasn't a big deal. They weren't even real. They were like fake, jewelry because I don't wear real shit because I know I'm going to lose it. And it looks the same. What can I say? Anyway, it became this whole thing. Like, there was like articles about it, like Billie Eilish says somebody stole her ring. We're going on a worldwide search. Like, I swear to God, it was so funny because I wasn't even really serious. I was like, somebody took my ring. What the hell? Who took it? Like, ooh, I'm gonna get you. Like, kind of joking. Anyway, I mean, it worked. Somebody said they found it and they brought it back to me and I got it back. So thanks, guys. Sorry I flipped everybody out by saying who the fuck took my ring. I didn't really mean it, but such a troll.
Oh, that kid shoot. Billie is a little kid magnet. They love her so much, and she loves them. They all wanted to be with her, and they were so cute in these clothes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So 2019 Halloween. I wanted to have a little Halloween party just with my crew. And so I was like, everybody has to wear a costume. Like, we must. And because I decided that I wanted to trick or treat that year for some reason, I was like, I need to make a costume that I can like hide in. And so I found a bed sheet in my attic and I cut holes in it and I made it into a ghost. And so I actually did go trick-or-treating that year and was a ghost, and it was really fun. And anyway, I had this party and I was like, everybody has to dress up. And so my mom, of course, because I lived there, my mom's like, I want to be you. What outfit should I do? And she's like, I think I should do this one. So she buys this wig. It's like silver wig. This is the same color as I had then. And she literally, she had like the best Billie Eilish costume on earth because it was literally the exact outfit that I wore in the picture she's trying to do. And then everybody else came. And of course, without any of them communicating with each other, they all dressed up as Billie Eilish. It was very funny. I love the Chelsea touch where she put the boot on also. So good. And of course, Michelle can never just fucking wear shoes. So she's still wearing flip-flops, but you gotta love her for it. My 18th birthday party, which was seriously one of the most amazing nights of my life. We had been trying to plan this party for months in advance. It was really like the most fun party of all time. There was a bounce house, dance floor. Rose did it all and she killed it, dude. Oh my God, she killed it. It was so much fun.
This was her 18th birthday party. She wanted a real party, not gigantic, fairly intimate, but fun. Just lots and lots of fun. And people that she'd seen on the road that year or at festivals, artists she was friends with, they just cut loose. Like it was almost like a little kid's party in the way it was so much fun.
I miss my friends, man. This makes me sad. I miss them so bad. Look at Black and Duck and... Oh, God. God, this trip to London. Oh, my gosh. This was such a fun trip, man. So surreal and beautiful. I love this picture of me and Drew passing a Cheeto. Oh, God, Hawaii was a literal dream. I can't even tell you. My wonderful family. By the way, I haven't talked about my parents enough in this book. My mom and my dad are the just best parents I could have asked for. I love my dad. My dad is my twin. We're the same person. My mom is just a little angel, for real. I have never seen my mom have bad intentions. Have you? I have not. I have never, ever seen my mom with any bad intentions in any way. If she's ever done anything that's like somehow seen as wrong or anything. Like, I swear on my life that she didn't mean it to be. Like, she is the nicest person. If my mom doesn't like you, you are terrible. And my dad is, again, my twin and one of my best friends. And making my dad laugh is like something I strive to do. And every time I do, I feel very accomplished and proud of myself. I love my parents. Dude, Grammy Day, man. So surreal. I don't really think I can describe it, but it was magical. Oh, God, I can't even tell you. The high I was on this whole day was really, like, unmatched. I can't even describe it. Oh, my God, the Oscars. What a insane thing I got to do. Oh, my God. It's so funny because after the Oscars, I did a couple interviews and they asked me how the Oscars went. And I just was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. I was so scared. I was so excited. It was such a big da-da-da. And everybody was like, Billie Eilish throws shade at the Oscars and says that they were mean. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, all I said was I was fucking nervous as fuck. Leonardo DiCaprio on the front row. Get the fuck out of here. I was on stage singing terribly while Brad Pitt is like looking at me. Get out of here, dude. Of course it was scary. My God. But it was so horrible because there were these articles I kept seeing that were like, Billie Eilish throws shade at the Oscars. And I was like, guys, what? The Oscars was an unbelievable opportunity that I think about every day and was so amazing to get to be there. I mean, I don't even think I deserved to be there or to perform or to go to those after parties. It was such an incredible night, and I hope that everybody knows that when I say I was just intimidated and it was nerve-wracking is because I was fucking excited as hell, and that makes you nervous. So, Jesus, the Oscars, dude, that's once in a lifetime, you know? Man, we worked so hard on this tour that only got 3 shows in, and then COVID came and destroyed it. But COVID came and destroyed a lot of things, so it wasn't just me. But at least the rehearsals were fun. At least we had that 2 weeks of being excited, even though it didn't lead up to anything. So this is a collage of me and Peacock just laughing and being nut jobs. Peacock is my choreographer. Him and I can't be in a room together and not laugh like something. We laugh at this stupidest shit. Like, I can't even tell you. There was this moment in one of the rehearsals for this tour, and we had to walk away from each other because we were dying of laughter for something that was not even funny. And he literally got up and left, and I got up and left. It was we couldn't be near each other, and that's kind of how we are in general. We cannot shut up, and we can't stop laughing. I swear to God, and it's all real. Like none of it's put on. I see his face and I just cackle for real. The feeling that you feel on stage in front of thousands and thousands of people screaming is completely, I am unable to compare it to anything. There is nothing on this earth like the feeling of being on stage. I couldn't replace it with a thing. Like, I really never want to stop doing shows. And maybe one day I'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that because I do. No, honestly, like, doing shows is just so rewarding and beautiful, and I can't describe it. Puppies. So many puppies. COVID sent us home. We got back, and the morning after we got back, which was, we got back at like 4 a.m. or something. And the next morning, I called Angel City Pits and said that I was available to foster some puppies. And immediately they dropped them off in like a couple hours. And I ended up adopting one of them. His name is Shark. And yeah, and that's where we are. He is currently, when I'm recording this, I think 10 months old. which is really crazy because when we got him, he was 5 weeks old, and that was the beginning of quarantine. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I love you. I can't wait to see you again. If you're new to me, welcome, and thank you for caring. Be safe and take care, and I will see you soon.